If you are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is our Chat It Up Saturday live stream. Whoop, whoop. Here we are doing something a little different today. I am so excited. We're going to actually do like a live interactive tutorial. So I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about orthographic mapping from the beginning to the end to how to do it. And make sure you stick around all the way to the end because I have some goodies for you. And we're also going to have a part where if you have a young child or somebody that you have, your children or so forth, we'll have a little part where you can really do this, like on time instruction. I'll go get my daughter and we'll do it together. So when I say interactive training, I truly mean interactive tutorial. Go ahead, introduce yourself down below in the chat box. Even if you're watching the replay, you can do hashtag replay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm so glad to see you guys. I love it. I love it. You said, Keisha, I am babysitting my niece and nephews. Oh, you have a house full, girl. A house full. I love it. I love it. You say your babies are asleep. They're night owls. I know you have some fun things planned for them. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, today's hot topic, like I said, is everything you need to know about orthographic mapping. Orthographic mapping. And so if you're on here and you're like, I don't even know what that is, Aja, please tell me. I'm going to tell you every single thing you need to know, what it is, how it relates to reading, why is it that you should know everything about it and how to incorporate it. So let's just get started. Comment down below, what is your name? What do you teach? And let me know, what is the biggest struggle when it comes to teaching decoding skills? Decoding is simply when you get a child to read an unknown word. That is how they literally sound out words, quote unquote. Back old school, they used to be like, sound the words out, baby, sound the words out. So you're doing just that. How do you teach your young ones to sound things out? And what is the biggest struggle when it comes to decoding? As you're dropping that down below in the chat box, let me just introduce myself for a hot little second and kind of tell you about my little life when it comes to decoding. Well, when I was a young girl, we weren't learned. I wasn't taught. You might have learned, but I wasn't learning how to correlate sounds with letters. In fact, when I was a little girl, they were just rolling out the thing called sight words. And so when I learned how to read, I was taught based on memorizing words and memorizing sight words. And so over time this worked. I could sound out a sentence really quick because all I had to do was memorize the words. And so as a young girl, like, this really worked for me. I loved reading. In fact, everywhere I went, I would always have a book right in front of me. I stayed with a book. Now we would go to restaurants and like, mommy, can I have a book? Can I have a book? Can I have a book? And I was that child. But somehow, right when I hit middle school, and yes, these are my actual middle school pictures, y'all. Kind of embarrassing, right? Kind of embarrassing. Kind of embarrassing. But when I hit middle school, the words that I was sounding out weren't words that I had memorized. In fact, there were words that required me to actually learn and know how to decode words. I had to apply phonics principles to these multisyllabic words, and yet I did not have the decoding skills that I needed as a child. And so this, you can only imagine, began to allow me to hate reading. I hated reading. Y'all remember that popcorn reading method? Oh, the worst. I dreaded reading. I was so embarrassed because people would know that I didn't know how to sound out words, and it was the worst. Okay, it was the worst. And so what started off as a love for reading ended up a nightmare, simply because I did not have the tools to decode unknown words. And so today I'm going to share with you a strategy, better known as orthographic mapping. It is fairly new, came out with when the science of reading research started rolling out. But I'm going to show you exactly how you can implement that so that your children aren't like me. They're not growing up not knowing how to sound out words. They don't hate reading because they were never taught how to decode. So let's avoid a whole bunch of mini Ajas running around. A little some more about me. If you don't know me, I am an educational consultant. I've been a kindergarten through fifth grade curriculum specialist that also um, was an admin for kindergarten through fifth grade elementary school. Did that for over 6 years. I've had over a decade worth of experience in Title I schools. My reading endorsement. I'm Orton Gillingham certified. I've you name it. I've done it in reading. But you're not here to learn about me. You're not here to dive into my deep dark reading history. But I do want to let you know that what I do here on Everything Aja is I help teachers and parents teach their struggling readers without ever feeling overwhelmed. I help teachers and parents go from feeling frustrated about teaching their young ones, feeling overwhelmed when it comes to the reading instruction, and experiencing teacher burnout, to feeling confident about their instruction, feeling prepared when it comes to their reading lessons, and having the time to make a difference without being burned out. If that sounds exciting to you, then you are in the right place. Let's get started with today's training with everything you need to know about orthographic mapping. Don't forget, introduce yourself down below. And if you're watching the replay, do hashtag replay. All right, we're going to give you guys a second to just comment down below. It says, have you ever wondered how children learn to spell and read? Have you ever wondered how children learn to spell and read? I'm going to give you like a few seconds to just kind of comment that answer down below. Some of you guys might be like, of course, duh. But have you ever wondered how children learn to spell and learn to read? It's simple yes or no. Maybe some of you are like, hey, look, I don't spend my weekends thinking about that. I don't spend my weekends thinking about how they learn to read. But it's important to bring up because that is literally what we're about to piggyback off of when it comes to orthographic mapping. Because orthographic mapping is literally how children learn to spell and learn to read. So let's just get into it. So ideally, you have children read books, right? And they come across unknown words. And so the gap is then to get them to go from that unknown word to reading full books, full paragraphs, confidently having the ability to break down those unknown words. You said, of course, I've thought about it. I'm not a primary teacher. You're like, look, I leave that to them. Give them to me once they already know how to decode, right? So yes, thanks for the honesty. Thanks for the honesty. So this is the gap that we're facing, going from unknown words, how to do it, what this looks like, all the way to literally getting them to read these unknown words. And so that's the gap that we have. And I love this quote from the Washington Post because it just wraps up this idea wholeheartedly. It says about 40% of students will learn to read no matter what. And so over the last decade, y'all know on here I've done plenty of videos about balanced literacy versus science of reading and the shift that we see today in education. And according to research, the reason why it was seeming like balanced literacy was working, whole brain teaching was working, is because 40% of children will learn how to read, giving the strategies and tools that they already had. They'll learn how to read that way. However, we're leaving 60% of children in the dark. We're leaving 60% of children not having those abilities to learn how to read. So they'll have to manage how to sound out words using systematic phonics instruction or without any phonics instructions at all. That's part of the why that the whole language approach looks sometimes like it did work. But the research now that is out there right now shows us that children who struggle most aren't likely to stop struggling unless they're taught to sound out words and unless they're explicitly taught how to read. And so the reason I love this because it really wraps up the gap wholeheartedly, right? Like it gives us a very clear picture of why it is that our children are struggling readers and why it is that they stay struggling readers. And so we see that unless explicitly taught how to break down and sound out words, these children, this 60% of children, will likely remain struggling readers. Let me know down below in the chat box, do you have a struggling reader? Because according to the data, they'll stay a struggling reader. So you might be saying, okay, Aja, get me to the orthographic mapping. How do we stop this gap? How do we stop this cycle of them remaining a struggling reader? Like, how can we get out of this struggle, this cycle, literally? Well, let me just share with you a little story. You're like, oh, we story time. Yeah. Let me just share you a story about my daughter. And so I was determined for her to not be in that 60%. I was very, very determined and trying to get her from, because I've done it as a teacher, but on a parent then it was a little different. Trying to get her to going from, reading predictable books, using the good old balanced literacy strategies into giving her explicit phonics instruction. I saw the gap of going from the balanced literacy. Some of the strategies are like, use the pictures, look at the initial sound, get your mouth ready. And although, like we said, 40% of children, this does work for them, but those other 60%, the majority of children need that explicit phonics instruction of how to read the word fat and how to read the word cat without guessing words by using the pictures. And so I loved doing this with my daughter, and I was trying a lot of things out. And it wasn't until I really implemented orthographic mapping that everything clicked for her. When I tell you, she went from literally still kind of sound like trying to sound out words, guessing a little bit, to, I mean, as soon as I laid out orthographic mapping, she was reading words wholeheartedly. We went from orthographic mapping to books within 1 week. Like, that's just how excited she was once it clicked. So let's get into how it is that I did this with her, how it is that I implemented orthographic mapping, and how exactly you can do the same thing as well. All right, so orthographic mapping is one of the key components in the process or reading and spelling words, which is orthographic mapping. And so you see, these are two templates, which will go down more in depth in a second. But it allows children to break up the different sounds that they hear within a word. And so once a word is broken up into different sounds or different phonemes, it allows them to not only read the word, but also learn how to spell the word. So orthographic mapping really is almost like the bridge between reading and spelling. And so I want to know now, just give me a little thumbs up or thumbs down. Have you ever heard of orthographic mapping before? Is this your first time hearing it? Have you heard it before? Let me know. Have you ever heard of orthographic mapping? Is it a thing that's ringing a bell out there? So have you ever heard thumbs up, thumbs down? That's all. I told you I was gonna be interactive today. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Have you ever heard of orthographic mapping? We see one thumbs up. One thumbs up. Awesome, awesome, awesome. See some thumbs up. Yes, yes, yes. Those are primary teachers. Like, y'all, like, yep, we have heard. For those that haven't heard, you might be wondering, okay, what is orthographic mapping? I see another thumbs up. Yeah. Look, that means I did my job right. If y'all are teaching by design, you've heard it. Yes, yes. So what is orthographic mapping? Let's just explain what it is so that you know exactly what we are getting our hands ready for. Orthographic mapping is simply the process of connecting the sounds of spoken language to written letters or graphemes, that's what they see, that represents the sounds that they hear. In other words, it's the process of creating a mental map of how words look and how they sound. It's literally the bridge between what they hear and what they see. And so for most of us, like me, I did not know about orthographic mapping until like literally recent years, when it is that here I am teaching explicit phonics. And I'm like, oh my goodness, where was this when I was young? And so now I want to ask you another thumbs up, thumbs down. Good morning, good morning. Have you ever used orthographic mapping? Have you ever used orthographic mapping? Let me know, thumbs up, thumbs down. Have you ever used it? I know you guys said you've heard it. Have we used it? Have you tried it? I know Keisha's gonna be like, I did a binder. I did my binder. Whoop, whoop. Um, have you ever used it? So maybe you've been using it, you tried it a little bit. Well, today we're gonna literally break down all the little things that you can do when it comes to orthographic mapping. A research has shown that children who are skilled at orthographic mapping are more likely to become successful readers and successful spellers. So now let's dive into how orthographic mapping works. So now that you understand that orthographic mapping is literally the bridge between spelling and reading, this is an example of what it looks like. It's one of my orthographic mapping templates. And let's just go. I'm ready. I'm ready. Y'all ready? I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. All right. So there's two types of orthographic mapping. There's partial orthographic mapping and full orthographic mapping. Partial orthographic mapping is when a child is able to connect some of the sounds in a word and and letters that represent them. So they could only do part of the word, i.e., partial. But that's kind of the beginning part. In fact, when like I told you guys, when I was doing this with my daughter, we started using word families. And the part that she was able to do was the rhyme, which is the first vowel and everything after it. So we did like the at word family. And then the part that she didn't quite have was the onset or initial sound. An example of this would be simply if a child can be able to sound out the letters at and then they're trying to struggle with representing that those sounds then match the word cat. Full orthographic mapping occurs when a child is able to connect all of the sounds in a word to the letters that also represent them. So, for example, a child will be able to read the word cat without having to sound out that every single letter says at, cat. So if they're not having to decode every single sound, then they're at full. The crazy thing about orthographic mapping is it works for me. It worked really, really quick with my daughter. And once she got the hang of it, literally I saw her go from partial to full. And the grand thing is when a new word is introduced, like for example, if they've never seen the word flat and then you represent that word in the form of orthographic mapping, of course at the beginning when you first introduce that word, it's going to be partial. They're going to have to sound out every single sound. At, flat, flat, and they're going to have to go through that process because they are at the partial phase. But as they begin to really work with that word, you'll see that it's not like they're memorizing the word, they're connecting the dots between sounding out the word and spelling the word. And that is how we get from partial orthographic mapping to full orthographic mapping. So now you might be wondering, okay, well, how does orthographic mapping happen? How does it happen? It sounds like magic, but how does this actually occur? So let's just break down the steps. The first thing that happens is a child must be able to decode the sounds in spoken language. So I'm not talking about phonics. If you are physically showing the letter, that's phonics. We're not talking about that right now. I'm simply stating things that are done in spoken language. Can they break down and hear the sounds that are spoken within spoken language? And in fact, I even have 18 just phonological awareness prompts that you can use that help you teach recognizing and manipulating sounds. And so, with these prompts and activities, they just allow you to literally teach children how to break down words verbally. That's the first step. For example, if you give a child the word cat and you're making them break down the sounds that they hear in the word at. I'm never asking them a letter. I'm just simply breaking down the sounds. The first sound, the next sound, the last sound. And if they can start manipulating and recognizing the words in spoken language, that's the first part. Okay. They have to be able to do that first. Once a child can manipulate sounds verbally, now you're ready to go to the next part, which is them having a good understanding of phonics or the relationship between sounds and letters. So now a child must have to a child can have to connect the letter M to the sound M. Okay, and so they have to connect the sound with the letter. So now we're jumping into phonics. So the first step, they have to know the sounds. You can do this in the car. In fact, I have a video coming out on different phonological awareness activities that you can literally do anywhere in the world, on a bus, on a plane, in a car, look at the lunch cafeteria while you're taking your kids to the bathroom break, wherever it is. You can teach children how to manipulate sounds anywhere. And then once they get a hang of it, you can use, I actually have letter flashcards. I have them with and without the pictures. I'll drop the link to this below in the description if you don't have any flashcards. But I use these flashcards to help relate the sounds to letters. And the cool thing about these come with pictures and they also come without pictures. So as children start to master the sound, you can then use the flashcards without the pictures to really make sure that they've mastered those sounds. So it kind of gives you the little training wheels to help them do this as well. All right. And so now once you've got that far, they are officially ready to begin spelling words so that they can make the connections between sounds and letters. And now this, my friends, is where orthographic mapping takes place. So you know what a child must what a child must know in order for this to happen. And so now we are ready to now jump into orthographic mapping. Now, make sure you stay tuned all the way to the end because I'm going to share with you how you can get the templates that I'm going to share with you on here. You can get them absolutely free. They are aligned to the science of reading, but I'm going to break down how to do this, what manipulatives you can use, and I am ready to get started if you are. Before we keep going, because this is the interactive part. Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready? Before we get started, let me just simply say, if you are enjoying this full-blown tutorial on orthographic mapping, give this video a nice thumbs up, share it with some of your other colleagues, let them know, hey, I've learned about this thing called orthographic mapping and you must hear about it. All right, let's jump into orthographic mapping in action, how it works, how to use it. And for this to work, let's call up a special guest, i.e. my daughter. I'm gonna make this interactive. KJ! All right, let's wait on her to come. She's gonna come and show us what this looks like in action. All right, so let me just share with some manipulatives you can use. If you have like right here. If you have like the bingo card, bingo chips, I'm going to show it with you on the screen using bingo chips. You can also use Play-Doh or any other counters. If you don't have bingo chips, no worries. You can get buttons. I have some buttons right here. Also have little counters. We've used counters for our manipulatives with orthographic mapping. I also have some of these. as well that just include like really any little thing that a child can use. If you're a homeschool parent, you can also, Kendall, please stop shaking me. You can also use cereal. Cereal is another thing. And these were the bingo chips that I was talking about. Boop, boop, boop. All right, so but the really cool thing was as you're connecting orthographic mapping with spelling and so forth, you can really use any type of Kendall, can you give me a second? Thank you. You can really use any type of manipulative. You see cereal, buttons, blocks. So I'm just showing you what all you can use so you don't feel like pressured into, oh, I gotta go run to the store. Nope. You can also use Play-Doh. We use these. And the really cool thing about this is we can use these. And if you don't have manipulatives and you're like, Aja, I want you to gather some for me, write that down below in the chat box. Write down help me, and I'll share with you guys. We have some exciting news and I will help you gather your materials for you. Kendall, stop. All right, so she's getting a little too excited to help out. She's getting a little too excited. So let's get to the orthographic mapping. All right, so I'm going to actually show us how to do this with 3 different templates. I have all 3 different templates. So what I do is I just put the template I'm using in literally this. Boop, boop, boop. This sheet protector, got it from the Dollar Tree. And then I use a dry erase marker and I have like a little dry erase eraser that makes this process even easier. All right, so this is the first one. Please stop, Kendall. All right, so this is the first one, and so this is what it looks like. And the first thing you do is say the word. And I think I word for okay. So the first thing you would do is say the word to the child. So bat. Can you say the word bat?
Bat.
Good. Can you tap the sounds in the word bat?
Ah.
Good. All right. Now for map it, I would actually, I kind of like already do the map now, kind of like write the word, bat. You can also ask them, for this one, you can ask them, to put the manipulatives in the circles. And so what you're doing for those circles, mind you, all I had was these. So what you see on the screen, those are these bingo chips. But like I said, you can use any manipulatives. You can use buttons. You can use counters. So any manipulative is at the top. And so then you'll have, there's 3 sounds. So at. All right. So now I need you to map the 3 sounds. Say the sounds again. Slowly.
Bat.
First sound. Good. Wait. The first sound was good. Just Kendall, the first sound, just the first sound. All right, so when she said "buh," I would have moved the counter from the top to the bottom. Have the child move the counter, so that gives them that kinesthetic, hands-on touch. Then the next sound, perfect. And so she's moving the chip from the top to the bottom. Last sound, perfect. And move the counter again down. So now all 3 counters are there. So now for the graphic part, you're now putting it all together and getting them to decode the word. So she said at. Now try to put them together. What's the word?
Bat.
Say it loud so they can hear you. Bat. Loud, Kendall.
Bat.
Good, bats. Perfect. And then the counters just kind of move to the side. Please stop. Perfect. And then for write it, you then give the child a dry erase marker, and then they write the word bat at the bottom. Mind you, you've already written it at the top. So all they're doing now is correlating the sounds that they said to the actual letters that they see. So this is how it connects, sounding out an unknown word with spelling. So let's try this again. We'll do this one a little quicker now. All right. So one thing I always recommend is keeping the rhyme, so the at sound when you're introducing this, because it just makes it easier for them to learn. So only the initial sound will start to change if they're starting out. All right. So the word is fat. Say the word.
Fat.
Perfect. Tap it out.
Fat. Fat.
Good. All right.
That's
So now
easy.
this is easy. Well, you're being an example. Woo! Kids, y'all, kids, they will embarrass you every time. All right, so let's map it. Say the sounds. Good. Next sound.
Ah.
Next sound. Good. Kendall, stop. All right, good. What's the word?
Fat.
Good. Fat. Awesome. All right, so then after she sounded it out and graphed it, now she would write the word. All right. You said, good girl. Look, I'm trying to do this live. Y'all are getting real life, what it is like teaching them in action, all the attitude and everything all together, because this is what we do on Saturday mornings. All right, so this is another template. Same concept, same concept. All right, so same concept. It just looks a little different. We're going to do the short I sound so that you see this in different ways. All right, so the word is pig. Say the word. Tap it out.
Pig.
Tap it out. All right, keep going, Sal.
Pig.
You're trying to read it. I said tap out the sounds in pig. You said at. Said pig.
Okay, Mom. Pig.
Puh.
I got.
There we go. Pig. Good. You said no worries, my baby will be doing the same thing. There we go, girl. All right, so now for this one, they get to count the sounds. How many sounds do you hear? Leave the mouse alone. Why are you touching the mouse? All you have to do is answer my questions. Yeah, real life example, y'all. All right, count up. How many sounds do you hear in the word pig? How many sounds?
Three.
So then that allows them to actually count the phonemes or count the sounds. Kendall.
Some are 4, some are 5.
Yep, some are 4, some are 5, some are 3. But I just asked for this one. All right. She's trying to be an overachiever right now. And then for Map It, it works the same way as the other template did. So a lot of times we do Play-Doh, and then we'll put the Play-Doh in the 3 dots. And then as she says the sounds for the kinesthetic part, she'll actually push her finger in the Play-Doh. Last week, I actually did a homeschool video showing this in action. So you'll see the Play-Doh. But what we didn't show you that is if you use chips or buttons or anything, they're actually moving the whatever 3 pieces you use, they're moving the pieces for the kinesthetic part. Okay. So you just make sure they have something to manipulate, even if it's cereal, if that's all you have, no worries. But they need something to manipulate. All right, so what are you doing, girl? All right, so then to map it, look,
like push the Play-Doh.
You're trying to push the Play-Doh.
Yeah.
All right, so she would literally take the sounds. Try to show y'all the map. All right, so can map out the sounds in pig. What's the first sound? You're just gonna push it up. Good. Perfect. And so that's what it would look like for mapping it. They're just pushing the pieces up. And then for graphic, you can do it where you write the sounds, or you can have them do it. Now I suggest them doing it, and you're kind of helping them do it on this part. But now they're actually writing the 3 sounds. So what's the first sound that you hear? So good. So what letter makes the p sound? What letter makes the p sound?
P.
Perfect. What's the next sound that you hear? What's the next sound that you hear? What letter makes that sound? What letter makes the I sound?
I.
Perfect. What's the last sound that you heard?
G.
G. Good. What letter? G. Perfect. So just in asking them the three, just for asking them the three sounds, Kendall, stop. Just for asking them the three sounds, they're then able to graph ig, and so then that helps them do the spelling. So I hope you guys are seeing all these pieces. So far, they've literally sounded this word out simply based on hearing the word, tapping the word. They've counted the sounds, they've mapped it, and now they've graphed it based on the sounds. And this is what helps spelling. Then after they do that, they then would write the word on their own. All right. So that's the second template that I have for orthographic mapping. And for the last template, same thing as far as having the manipulatives, but another manipulative that you would need for the third one is some sort of poppet. So these are some of ours. You can get these at Walmart, Amazon. And like I said, if you're like, Aja, I want you to help me collect materials, just drop down below, help me. And I could tell you about something I have coming up for this upcoming school year. But these poppets are very, very popular with kids and allow them another opportunity to get, their hands, that hands-on experience, that kinesthetic learning experience. Kendall, I'm about to let you go because you're being too loud.
Okay. I was like,
I need you to stop talking, baby. I just need you to answer the questions. All right, so this is the last one. The last template looks like this. It looks like this. Say it, count it, map it, pop it, write it. So it doesn't have as much, but it is very hands-on. And if you have a child that is really hands-on, then this is probably going to be their favorite template to use. I have to figure out the sound. Hold on. All right. So we're doing Kendall, stop. Oh, you're right. We need these three. Sorry, she's helping me. She's all over the place though. And you may have a kid that's all over the place just like this. This is a grand example that you just have to go with them. It's because I'm doing all this talking. She likes to just go. All right, you ready?
yes.
All right. The word is let. Say the word.
Let.
Count how many sounds do you hear in the word let? Count it.
Let. Let.
So how many was that you just counted on your hand?
3.
3. Perfect. So if you saw what she did, because it was kind of over. Kendall, stop.
Puppets.
Let go of the puppets. Count it again because I couldn't see your hands.
Let.
Perfect. So she was used to counting the sounds on her hand. So she says et, and then she looks at her hand and knows that there's 3 sounds. So that helps with the the kinesthetics part as well, because they're actually counting on their hands. And so then after they've counted on their hands, then they can actually map it out.
Map it.
So once again, you can have Play-Doh balls on the actual map itself. Like I said, I did the homeschool video and we use Play-Doh, or you can use counters. So in this case, we'll use the counters. All right, so go ahead and map out the word let. Say the sound.
Let.
Perfect. And they're just moving it. So they've counted on their hands and now they've physically moved the pieces. Now you can give them the counter. And with the counter, here, baby, you can use the counter. Now I want you to use the poppet and do count and do the word. Kendall, okay, goodbye. I'll do it. Okay, because you're playing. They're not on here to watch you play.
I want to help you.
You want to help me? Well, help me by popping out the word let. Pop out the word let. Show them how you use the poppet. Okay, well, then you do it. Say the sound. You did it, but you didn't say the sounds. Yeah, redo it, but say it out loud so that they can hear you.
Ooh,
Good. Et. And so they're doing the sounds again. What word?
let.
Let. And now that they've said it, they've counted it, they've mapped it, they've had all that hands-on practice, you then give them a marker, a little dry erase marker, and now they can write actually on the dry erase board, and now they would actually write out the word let. So they would actually, oh, I forgot I had this. So they go et, and so then they write out let. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Now, okay, goodbye. Well, wait right there because you're doing too much. All right, as a child reads a word, they may start by sounding out the letters. Okay, so this is exactly what you would have started out doing. Over time, with repeated exposure, that means as they continue to do orthographic mapping with the short A sound, as they continue to do orthographic mapping with the short I sound, they'll start to recognize the word as a whole word and will no longer need to sound out each letter. And so comes where the spelling part kicks in. And so this is an example of full orthographic mapping. So as you continuously do this, they will start to learn how to actually say words. So I've learned, even with my daughter, you're done. You're done. I'll do the last one. You're doing too much. Stop. Stop. Stop.
Okay.
This is real world, real life homeschooling with an audience. That is. You can wait right there until I'm done, Kendall. Sorry. But you'll like what I've noticed with her, like the ats, the and like the short A sound, since that's what we started with, and that's what I even suggest you guys started with. That over time, she now doesn't have to sound out a lot of those words. So now when she sees them, she knows them. So even in a book, I've found she's like zooming through books now because a lot of those short A sounds, she's already done orthographic mapping on them. So much that over time now, just like the research shows, she is now at full orthographic mapping, meaning that she has already learned that word, i.e., cat, is what it looks like, what it sounds like. Not saying that they memorize it because they don't, but they've learned how to spell it over time. Woo, woo. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to try this out with your babies. If you are ready to try out orthographic mapping, you giving a thumbs up, baby. All right, so let me also share with you how this looks like once you start to introduce blends. So you might be saying, okay, Aja, this sounds really grand for like 3-syllable words. Not 3-syllable words, but sounds with words with 3 sounds. But the great thing about orthographic mapping is it works for CVC words, it works for CCVC words, and even CCCV words. And so I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can do this, even as children start to learn words that have 4 different letters and 5 different letters, etc. So we're going to do 4 different letters because that is where she is right now. But as children start to learn blends, for example, right now she has been learning the TH sound. TH makes what sound? Good. So she has learned that TH makes a sound. Of course, that is one sound. And so when you have like TH that makes one sound, you could then use the 3 sound orthographic mapping sheet. So we're gonna do this one with her.
Heart for Jesus.
Okay, heart for Jesus. Can we please put that down? Thank you so much. Real, I'm telling y'all, kids. All right, the word is that. Say it. That. Can you tap out the sounds in that?
That.
Okay, so you said at, which is tat. I said that. Baby, I think all this extra attention is getting to her. It is getting to her, y'all. It is getting to her. That. What's the first sound? No, not l. TH says, do it with your tongue. You're doing it wrong. Look at mama's tongue. There you go.
That's what I did.
So you have ah. See, you're playing. Okay, what's the next sound, Kendall?
Ah.
Good. All right.
That.
That. This is actually a word that she's never done before. So this is literally her first time doing this word. I wanted to do a real one that she's never done before. All right, so she says that she's tried to break up the sounds of acts. Can you count how many sounds are in the word that? Okay, you're just gonna count that quick. So yes, how many? Say it out loud.
That.
How many? How many? Three sounds. All right. So now can you map out the sounds in the word that?
Ah.
Good, good, good. All right. So then for graphing the sounds, since the TH makes the sound, it forms at it, within the boxes, it is one sound. So at. Perfect. And then the child would write then the word that. Now, the other cool part about it is for another word such as flat, for the sound for FL, although it is a blend, that blend still has two separate sounds. You have and Kendall, stop. All right, you could go. We're done. Think fake. You're done. You're done. Go downstairs and play. Go downstairs and play. Thank you so much.
Am I done with everything?
Yeah, you're done. We're done. Thank you so much. All right. So, like for example, with the word flat, look, if y'all could give her just a little clap down below in the chat box, that was a lot. we had a real life Vanna White today showing us how to do orthographic mapping. But like for the word flats, now the and the are two different sounds, and so you would then use the or phonemes or map. And now like I said, there's three different templates. Does not matter which one you use, does not matter, but we have the one on the screen. You also have this one, and then you have that first one that I shared with you as well. And so that's literally what orthographic mapping is. It's pretty amazing. You're like, whoop, whoop. Thanks for cheering on my baby. Thanks for cheering on my baby. Thanks for cheering her on. In addition to repeated exposure over these words and other factors that can also help with orthographic mapping. For example, seeing a word in different contexts. For example, when it's in a book, if it's in the real world environment, that will help, or like in a paragraph or etc., can help a child then understand how that word is then used and how it looks. And I've even seen this with her, that as she sees these words like cat, bat, sat, like in books and stuff, she's able to recognize them simply because we have broken them down into different sounds and syllables, used orthographic mapping. So now when she sees these words in the real world, she's able to recognize these words quicker, and she's able to see exactly where they fall. And this is just a picture on the screen of what this looks like with the Play-Doh. So like I said, it's just nothing but the little Play-Doh balls, and then they just put their hands in the Play-Doh. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Woo, that was a lot. Y'all had the real world experience. This is another example. I know I was telling you guys onset and rhyme. I sell these, so these are not free, but I sell these with the onset and rhyme of orthographic mapping sheets that already have all five short vowel sounds with the onsets and with the rhymes. And so all you're doing is changing out the onset. And so as children are beginning to learn orthographic mapping, these mats are perfect. And you really your work is kind of already done. And also within the sheet, I mean, also within this pack, I even give you words to practice with them, so you don't even have to think. But overall, orthographic mapping is a key component of the process between learning and spelling. So by connecting those sounds of spoken language, those verbal sounds, to the written language, children can literally create a mental map of how words look and how words sound. This allows them to become more skilled at reading and spelling and ultimately become successful communicators. So if you weren't already sold on orthographic mapping, I hope you are now. Don't forget to just hit the thumbs up button, share this with another homeschool teacher or another teacher. And I also I have a goodie. I have a goodie. I actually have these templates, all three of these templates in 3, 4, and 5 phonemes or sounds. So you get literally all of these for free now, for free, in my reading toolkit. You get that and so much more. My reading toolkit is the only free resource that can help you teach all 5 components of reading. I've seen all the free resources that people like to give out there, and they're always literally targeted to just one thing. And so the reading toolkit allows you to teach all 5 components of your reading instruction without feeling burned out. The link to that is right at the top. It is pinned in the live comment area. So definitely grab your free reading toolkit so that you can get started implementing orthographic mapping with ease. Rewatch this if you want even more support doing this step by step. I mean, hey, don't forget, don't get weary if you don't have the pieces. If you want me to help you collect the pieces, just type down below, help me. But if not, you can use anything that you have in your home, already in your classroom, for that mapping piece that's a little bit hands on. And for those of you guys that are in my program, I mentioned the onset and rhyme orthographic mapping sheets. You actually have these. So no, you do not have to purchase these. You have the onset and rhyme templates. So you do have those already. And with those, I actually give you words to practice using with your children. Bonnie said, oh, yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. If you want to know more, definitely keep in touch. You can follow me if you're not yet already on Instagram, here on YouTube. If you're not already subscribed, what are you waiting on? Subscribe down below. You can find out more ways of how to work with me, even more ways to teach your children how to read by simply visiting everythingaja.com. I have resources galore on there. I mean, galore. So definitely check that out. We do this each and every Saturday, where is a live training right here where you can get all your questions answered. I've thoroughly enjoyed this training with you. You said you were just looking for some items a few minutes ago. You're like, hold on, what do I have around the house? Yes. So like I said, you can really use anything. Like I had these for math, but you can use those. Um, I'm kind of that person that kind of has like all the little manipulatives. But the buttons, all you nearly need is like 3 or 4. 3 or 4. Even cereal. We all have cereal. So you can use cereal as a manipulative piece. My daughter, she just loves Play-Doh. So we do Play-Doh a lot. But yeah, so you have those templates. I've enjoyed you guys. I'll see you next Saturday. Share this tutorial with someone else, because orthographic mapping, in my opinion, is one of the best kept secrets in reading. And I have seen firsthand just how much it has literally helped my daughter. She wasn't reading a month ago, and now this girl is just like breezing through books. Like I'll show y'all maybe next Saturday we'll do it. She's like getting through books so quickly because of orthographic mapping, and then also learning some of the sight words. And I can show you guys, well, that's a whole nother Saturday, how to do it with sight words. But just doing these simple decodable words using orthographic mapping has tremendously helped her learn how to read. So thank y'all so much. Thank you so much. Don't forget, grab your free reading toolkit. I'm glad you guys enjoyed. Glad you guys enjoy babysitting your nieces and nephews today, Bonnie. Hope your day is amazing. It is beautiful out there today. I know this time last week it was like thunderstorming down here. And so a lot of like the Easter egg hunts got pushed to the day. So I guess that's what we're doing today. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Um, there should be no music. There is no music on here right now. Yeah, it shouldn't be any music. So it shouldn't be any music. So I don't know. Maybe something's playing in the background of your screen because there's no music on my end, none at all. So I'm double checking, but yeah, there's no music going on. So you might have something else on the back of your like of your device. So check that out. You said they're wearing you out already. Oh yes, boys are definitely rambunctious. Like yeah, I can only imagine. All right, don't forget free reading toolkit. Grab yours. I'll see you guys next Saturday.